What's up, beautiful image bearers? It's me, CA3, and today we're taking a look at Jesus healing a blind man. So the disciples asked Jesus, whose sin causing this man to be blind since birth? The prevalent belief among the Jewish people was that ailments and hardships were the result of sin. Jesus makes it clear it's not about sin, but about an opportunity for him to prove he is who he says he is. The fact is, living in a fallen world brings about a lot of unexplainable realities. Children born with defects, mental health issues, etc. This is unfortunately the result of sin entering the world. Born in sin, shaping in iniquity. However, God in his sovereignty still redeems these things for his purposes today. Regardless of what physical ailment you may have, God can and will use your life for his glory. In verse 6, Jesus begins the process of healing this man. He mixes saliva and dirt to make mud, and it's believed that this was symbolic of how God created man from the dust of the earth or the dirt. This mud mixture was like a clay-like substance that could represent Jesus symbolically forming new eyes for this man. And if so, that's quite profound to me because it would represent the bigger idea of how Christ as the light of the world opens our eyes not just physically, but spiritually. You see, Adam and Eve's eyes were open when they sinned, but they became blind spiritually. Jesus recreates spiritual eyes through the blood of his sacrifice. So Jesus heals the man, he washes his eyes off in the pool of Siloam, which means sent. So of course, now those who knew the man before are curious. The Pharisees, of course, are still insisting that Jesus is not from God, but now the people aren't so sure. They ask the formerly blind man what he thinks of Jesus, to which he says that Jesus is a prophet. Not really what they wanted to hear. This man could see, but the Pharisees were still spiritually blind. They're so adamant about this that they called his parents over to ask them questions. Now, mind you, they had already assumed the man was never blind to begin with, even though his neighbors confirmed it and he himself had confirmed it. They dismiss both claims and go to the parents, simply because they don't want to be wrong. This also doesn't work in their favor, though. A back and forth begins between the man and the Pharisees, and they're so against Jesus that they just cannot accept the reality of what happened. Unfortunately, their hearts were hardened. But the man refused to allow them to minimize what happened and even asked if they were so curious because they secretly wanted to be followers of Christ themselves, which is a good question if you think about it, because even today still, there are a lot of people who, it's not that Christ isn't so great in and of himself to follow, it's the whole having to give up our will for his that a lot of us have a problem with. But this is the boldness we should have when Christ changes us. The whole back and forth shows the fact that God truly opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. See, the Pharisees could have been saved, but their arrogance and self-centered attitudes kept them spiritually blind. They didn't see the need for a savior, so they wouldn't humble themselves. So after all this, Jesus and the man meet again. Jesus here once again shows that healing was not the main part of his ministry. Healing was his proof of authenticity and his entry to making disciples. The man shows us that the only real response to Christ's work in our lives is to follow him. Once he radically changes your life and opens your eyes, you realize there is nothing more important in this life than knowing Christ and making his name known. And I just want to extend this invitation to you, whoever you are. If you don't know him today, I promise you can. He is still opening eyes today just like he did all those years ago. God bless you. I love you. And peace.